In the very beginning there was no earth, there was no sky, there was no light, everything was dark and empty. The world was like a great deep water, it had no shape, it was formless, but God was there. The Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the dark waters. God was present before anything else existed. He was ready to start his great work of creation. God decided to create. He did not use his hands, he used his powerful words. When God speaks, things happen. His word is full of power and authority. He simply said what he wanted to exist. And then it came into being. This shows us that God is all-powerful. He can make something from nothing. The story of creation begins with God's voice. This voice would bring order and life to the emptiness. On the very first day God spoke. He said, "Let there be light." And suddenly there was light. The light pushed back the darkness. God looked at the light. He saw that the light was good. It was exactly what he wanted. Then God separated the light from the darkness. He gave them names. God called the light day. He called the darkness night. This was the end of the first day. On the second day, God continued his work. He spoke again. He said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters." This expanse would separate the water into two parts. So God made this expanse. He separated the water under the expanse from the water above it. God called this expanse sky. This created a space. It made a clear division. The sky formed a kind of roof over the world. This was the end of the second day. The world was becoming more organized. God looked at the sky he had made. The Bible tells us that God saw his work was good, the sky was good, it was part of his perfect plan. This new sky, this firmament, created a boundary. It helped to order the waters. This order was very important. It was needed before land could appear. It was needed before living things could exist. God was carefully preparing the world. He was making it a place where life could flourish. His plan was unfolding step by step. On the third day, God spoke once more. He said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place." He also said, "Let dry ground appear." And it happened just as God said. The waters came together. Dry land became visible. God gave names to these new parts of his creation. God called the dry ground land. He called the gathered waters seas. And God saw that this was good. The earth now had its basic form. It had land and oceans ready for life. Later on that same third day, God continued to create. He said, "Let the land produce vegetation." He wanted plants to grow, so plants began to grow on the land. There were small plants that made seeds. There were also big trees. These trees grew fruit with seeds inside. The seeds meant that the plants could make more plants. God looked at all the new plants. He saw that this was good. The earth was now green and alive. It was ready to support animals. This was the end of the third day. On the fourth day, God focused on the sky again. He said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the sky." These lights would separate the day from the night. They would also be signs. They would mark seasons, days, and years. So God made two great lights. He made the bigger light to rule the day. This is the sun. He made the smaller light to rule the night. This is the moon. He also made the stars. God set all these lights in the sky to shine on the earth, and God saw that this was good. This was the end of the fourth day. On the fifth day, God turned his attention to the waters and the air. He spoke again. He said, "Let the water teem with living creatures." He also said, "Let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea. He made every kind of fish and sea animal. He also made every kind of bird. God looked at all these new creatures. He saw that it was good. Then God blessed them. He told them to be fruitful. He told them to increase in number and fill the waters and the sky. This was the end of the fifth day. On the sixth day, God created the animals that live on land. He spoke his command, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kind." So God made all sorts of animals. He made the livestock like cows and sheep. He made the small creatures that crawl on the ground. He also made the wild animals of the forest and field. Each animal was made according to its kind. God looked at all the land animals he had made, and God saw that this was good. The world was now full of many different kinds of creatures. Then, still on the sixth day, God did something very special. He said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness." So God created human beings. He created them in his own image. He created them male and female. God blessed them. He told them to have many children. He told them to fill the earth. He also gave them responsibility. He told them to rule over the fish, the birds, and all the animals. God looked at everything he had made on all 6 days, and he saw that it was very good. This was the end of the 6th day. By the time the 7th day arrived, God had finished all his work. He had created the heavens. He had created the earth. He had created everything in them. So, on the 7th day, God rested from all his work of creating. This does not mean God was tired. God is all-powerful. He does not get tired like humans do. His rest was a sign. It showed that his work of creation was complete. It was perfect. Nothing more needed to be added. God did something special with the 7th day. He blessed the 7th day. He made it holy. This means he set it apart as a special day, because on this day he rested from all the work he had done in creation. The whole creation was now finished. Everything was in its right place. There was harmony. There was peace. God looked at everything he had made, and it was very good. This means it was totally perfect and functioning as he planned. It was a beautiful and wonderful world. The significance of God resting on the 7th day is very important. It teaches us about completion and satisfaction. It also became a pattern for people. Later, God would command his people to observe a Sabbath day. This day of rest was to remember God as creator. It was a time to stop working. It was a time to worship God. It was a time to enjoy his creation. The 7th day reminds us that God is in control. It reminds us that he provides for us. The story of creation in Genesis 1 and 2 is a beautiful story. It tells us about a powerful and loving God. It shows us that God created the world with a plan. Everything he made was good. The world was ordered and full of life. Humans have a special place in this creation. We are made in God's image. We are asked to care for the earth. This story is the beginning of God's relationship with people. It shows his goodness and his incredible power. It is a foundation for understanding God and his world.